Hello, everyone. Hi, Brandy here. This is Noel. I'll introduce you to him in just a second here as people sign on. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week, and the Mercury retrograde is now gone, so you can start signing your contracts again. Oh, thank you. The Mercury retrograde is stationed, I think it was this morning. I think it was this morning. So now I can actually do a contract on my house. I'm very excited about that. Hey Rob, hey Serena, hey Hanson, how y'all doing? Nicole. So I have a guest speaker on with me tonight. He actually went through a death experience, a near-death experience.
That's what happened last time.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to use that thing anymore. Mm-hmm. So, if you use an iPad thing, I don't suggest using it. Here. I'm not going to use this after tonight, because that's the second time this has happened. It does not stay up. Yeah, it's just not going to stay up. Alright, guys. I'm going to have to set this up. Will you hold that for me? Mm-hmm. Just hold it right here.
Right here?
That's fine.
Hi, guys.
Alright. I'm going to move this over. Put this on here. Thank you. Okay. That did not go well.
That's weird, I just fell over like that.
Yeah. Okay, so, alright, now we can do this.
Oh, sorry.
I want to sit up more. Okay, so, okay, so he had a near-death experience, and I went, a lot of you might know already that have been following me for a while, I went to the near-death experience conference over last summer, and I did readings and stuff there, and worked with some people that had experiences. And anyways, he had an experience, and you guys know that I'm a hypnotist and a regressionist, and I specialize in bringing people to the other side to go into the astral plane and to talk with their guides, but also to experience regressions. So past life regressions, regressions in this life, and yeah, so I'm going to have him tell you about his experience for those of you that have never heard, you know, about a near-death experience from anyone personally, because they are always very similar. You know, they're always very, it's like the same thing. You always hear the same stuff from someone that had a near-death experience. And so his story is, you know, very typical of what you hear with near-death experiences. So, anyways, yeah, Noel, and he's actually in, he has a band called, the Voices, the band. And I'll put the link up after we do the live show. I'll put the link up for a psychic development cheat sheet that I have for you guys. And I will also put up a link of one of his music videos so you can see that if you want to, if you like punk music. So, anyways, tell them your story.
Well, this was after, this was actually, it wasn't too long ago. It was on my 29th birthday that this actually happened.
So 6 months ago?
Yes. And basically what happened was that I had just finished playing this show with this band that I haven't played for in a long time. They're a different band, you know, because I used to play for this band a long time ago, and it was not the band that I play for now, but a different one. But anyways, I finished playing the show for them, and ended up, you know, partying a lot that day, and I kind of lost track of how much alcohol and drugs I did that day, and that night, and I was just basically up all night until 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, just mixing a lot of things that I shouldn't have mixed, like, you know, I won't get into details, but then finally around, you know, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, I didn't feel right, and the person I was with, I told them, I said, hey, there's something wrong here. I gotta go to the hospital. I don't know why. I don't know why, but everything is just kind of hazing out. I feel like there's something wrong with me. The ambulance came, started talking to me and seeing what was wrong with me, and they patched me up, and my heart was normal while they were talking to me, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just kind of froze, and I peed myself. That's how it started. I peed myself, and then all of a sudden I just went slanted over, and that's basically where I kind of just felt myself. Everything just went dark. They had to rush me to the hospital, and they had thought it was an overdose, and which it was, but the thing about it is there was more to that. And so basically when that happened and I was in the ambulance, I was able to see everything. Like, I could see what they were doing, and they were trying to resuscitate me. So they tried to shoot me up with Narcan. That didn't work. They tried to, do a lot of different things. And they took me over to, when I got to the emergency room, I remember them working on me, trying to put me on the things, trying to see if they could get me to breathe again and all that. And I remember one of the doctor's names, and he at the time when they pronounced me dead as soon as I got to the hospital. Mm-hmm. When I got to the hospital is when they pronounced me dead, and then that's when I kind of was able to see how it felt, because it feels really different and weird when you're not, how can I put it, when you're not
in your body?
Yeah, I would say not in your body, yeah, because the thing about it is the feeling of death before you die is the scariest part of everything, because you feel it coming. It's an impending feeling of doom. Mm-hmm. You feel yourself closing in, you feel yourself leaving your, leaving your state of mind where your consciousness goes, and you don't, you start losing recollection of who you are and whatever. And then when I had died, I remembered that when I was in the hospital room, I remember that I was kind of, how can I say, it was like I had my eyes open and I was standing next to myself, but I was able to see myself. Mm-hmm. And I was able to remember one of the doctor's names because he had said it, and his name was Pete. His first name was Pete, and I remember him telling him to do something to get. So it was really hazy, but it's funny because when I had woken up out of all of that, I had read the name tags of the doctors that were there, mm-hmm. and one of them name was Pete. Mm-hmm. But they had told me they said you had an overdose, and that I'm basically lucky to be alive, and then my heart had stopped.
For 10 minutes?
No, my heart had stopped for about 10 minutes. But the thing about it is that the only thing that kept me alive was basically this thing that they did, basically using, I wouldn't say that they didn't have the chakra things, that they mm-hmm. were like that. They had something different. I don't know if it was something with adrenaline or something like that, but they had shot me with it. And if it wasn't for that, I would have been dead. But my heart literally had stopped for I would say about 10 minutes, mm-hmm. and I was already dead. But it seemed to me like I was standing next to my body. Mm-hmm. But when I woke up, I remembered seeing these things as bits and pieces. I didn't remember seeing everything as like if it was a dream. It was like it was just like bits and pieces. Like if somebody were to take pictures mm-hmm. and show them to you, like a what do you call it? Like a slideshow.
Oh, okay.
like a slideshow.
Yeah,
kind of,
like
and
clips, like
that's
pictures.
what I remembered after when I woke up out of everything, and that's what I remembered. You see what I'm saying?
Did you have any, did you see anything like, you know, people say they see a light or something sometimes, or like it gets dark and they see a light or any of that? I'm just wondering.
I didn't, no, because I didn't see a light.
Right.
I basically just
Some
remember
people don't.
I just remember I just remember me having pictures of being outside of my body, and I remember me seeing, looking around the room.
Okay.
You know, and it was like somebody was taking flash pictures.
Right.
And that's how I would remember when I would hear it, you know. It's just weird.
Did you have any memories during that? Or was it just during that you were just there present?
I was just there present.
Yeah. So he was in the astral plane. The astral plane, yeah. Yeah, Rob, he is spiritual. He's actually, I'll tell you a little bit about that too in a moment, but he was in the astral plane. And the astral plane is right above our plane of existence in the physical. Okay? When you go to the astral, if you don't see the light, it's not your time. Okay? They're not pulling you to the other side. My brother calls it an arc. He said, thank you for sharing your story.
No problem.
He's a Scorpio. So he already has psychic ability, but once he went through the near-death experience, which is very typical, is your psychic abilities enhance. Because once you die, or you partially die, you have 1 foot into the astral and 1 foot in the physical plane. So if you were born a blue baby like I was born a blue baby with the cord wrapped around my neck. They thought I was dead. I was almost dead. And when you have that type of experience, it puts you into that other plane of existence. So you're more connected to the other side. So I'm not telling you to go do that, but I'm just saying that people that have those experiences tend to shift into more of a psychic type of ability. If you're not already psychic, you become usually pretty psychic. And you also have a different perspective on life. How would you say it changed your... Because you've mentioned it quite a few times, talking about some things, and you're like, well, because I had the near-death experience, I don't see it that way.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of things that people would say and post up. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos that would put, oh, well, I'm channeling to the spirits right now, and you don't know what it's like. It's not something you can just channel. It's something more beyond that, you know. It's something that our small little minds are, you know, is not going to be able to explain it, you know. Now I don't like. It's not that I don't believe in channeling, but I think that ever since that happened, I just started being very skeptical a lot about, you know, somebody could say, hey, I channeled Michael Jackson, you know, for all I care, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure you can, but that's when I became very skeptical, because I've been there, I've OD'd before, and I know what it's like to die, you know,
and to be on the other side in the astral.
And so it's different. It's just something you can't explain, and it changed my life to the point where now, you know, I could consider myself like a hypochondriac sometimes. You know, it changes your life because you know what it's like. You can't speak to people when you're in that the existence, when you're not existing, it's hard to explain. When you're dying, or you're about to die, or you're already that you could see, you wish you can talk to people, but you cannot talk to them.
Mm-hmm. You're still conscious, you're still there.
You're still there, but you cannot speak to them, and you're scared. You know?
Fear is the biggest thing that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I've just been very scared about everything and it happening again. And that's what got me into, like, being careful about what I do and who I hang out with and, you know, how much I drink, if, you know, things like that. I mean, it's just changed my life completely.
Yeah, my brother actually had an experience where he got into a motorcycle accident. He was in a coma for a couple of months, and me being a hypnotist and the spiritual person that I am, I actually went into the hospital for the 2 months and worked on him as a hypnotist. I got really upset, I remember, at the nurses, because some of the nurses were saying, oh, well, he's probably going to be dead by tomorrow. And so I would flip out on them and take them out of the room and say, we need to talk. Listen, as a hypnotist, you cannot say things like that to someone that's unconscious, because they're still unconscious as a computer program. And if you're telling them they're going to die, then yeah, they might go ahead and cross over, right? But if you tell them that they're going to live, which is what I worked with some, it's called metaphorical hypnosis sessions with him. So I would use these metaphors and I would walk him through it, and I would do these different energy things like Reiki and things on him. And he pulled out of it. It took him 2 months. He almost died many times. But he's definitely now, as a friend of mine puts it, he's like still in that other dimension, my brother. You know, he's very, very psychic now and very, very, very connected to the other side. It changed him forever. Yeah. So, if you are interested, I have a couple of books I wanted to share with you guys too. This is Michael Newton, Dr. Michael Newton. This is Life Between Lives. And he has 2 or 3 books. I have his audiobooks. I actually ended up buying the audiobooks and listening to those years ago instead. But I do like having a physical copy. So Life Between Lives is great because he is a spiritual regressionist like myself. And he actually doesn't just talk about, but he interviews people. He goes and he hypnotizes people, and it's all very real experiences about the other side and about crossing over and the whole experience on the other side beyond just the astral. Because once you go into the astral, you have to get pulled to this other area. I should have my brother on a podcast sometimes too, because my brother actually talks about what he calls the arc, and that's an electrical arc. Okay, so when my brother's saying the arc, he's not talking about like Noah's ark. He's actually talking about the energy arc that you ride on to get from the astral plane here, over to the other side. Okay, it's like an energy, it's a frequency. And Michael Newton talks about that as well. You get pulled whenever you're dying. You get pulled out of your body. It's a pulling feeling. And if you're ready to transition to the other side, to actually die and stay dead from this life, then you will feel that pull really hard. Some people resist the pull and they become ghost, right? That's why you see ghosts, because they resist the pull and they stay in the astral. Here in our physical world, they stay on the astral. So I should show you guys a chart sometimes. If you watch my 8 video, my video on the numerology in 8, you'll see where I have the tree of life, and at the bottom, right, you have the physical world, which is Malkuth, and up here you have Yesod, and Yesod is the dimension of the astral. And that's where we create magic. That's where we make changes. That's where when we put something out there, like if I hypnotize you and I say something, I'm dealing with astral. If I'm doing magic, I'm dealing with astral plane. Above the astral plane, you have these 2 other planes. And these 2 other planes are the mental world and the emotional world. And that's your bodies too. You have all these different little bodies. You have the etheric, which is astral, and you have the mental and the emotional bodies.
I have the biggest feeling like that there's somebody watching right now that has either a big a struggle they have in their life. Either I think it's probably a family member that they are really super worried about, or there's something in their life that it's like really bothering them to the point where, you know, they're watching your channel because that is trying to help them cope with this whatever struggle it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a family member that they're struggling with, but it's something like maybe like a worry they have, maybe somebody who is out. Maybe there's maybe a mom that has a son that's out, you know, and fighting and stuff like that, and he's in the military, or there's a grandma somebody's worrying about. But there's somebody that's watching that's really worried about something like that's been really bugging them, and they've been focusing on this certain thing their whole life. So if there is anybody that is, you know, that is actually, you know, knows what I'm talking about, go ahead and speak up, and then we'd be able to help you out with that too. You see what I'm saying? Like any kind of...
Pam said that could possibly be me. So, yeah, he's extremely psychic. When we met each other, we actually picked each other's signs immediately. It was funny. He knows things, like, I don't tell him, and he just says it, and I'm like,
Pam
how do you know
that? Could be her.
Yeah. You're worried about your dad, Pam?
That's what I was picking up, a family member. Now, what is it that could be worrying you? Like, what is it? Is it illness?
Hey there.
Hi.
And Serena said my grandma just passed. She has Alzheimer's, and your mom's in denial about it. Yeah, Nicole, I know your worries. Yeah. Oh, and your uncle hung himself? Oh, he was in the military?
Wow.
Family situations.
Those are things that's the reason why I said that. Those are things that I worry about too, because I lost my older brother, and he committed suicide, and it created a big thing in me for a long time where it changed my life completely. Like, I became an alcoholic and stuff because of that. You know, I wasn't able to get over his death. You know, sometimes you need to get over that death, you know, and if you're really super worried about, you know, your, you know, grandmother or grandfather or mom or dad, whoever it is it may be, do the best you can to help them, but whatever you do not let it affect your life, basically, you know, because then you go down and you go into a spiraling depression, which is what I went through.
Yeah, and also you hold people here in the astral. If your loved one crosses over and you're really freaking out about it, sometimes they'll stay in the astral because they want to comfort you and they want to make you feel better, and they can't talk to you because you can't hear them. Some people can hear them. They come to me. I've had a few come to me because they know I can hear them. Especially when I do my tantric work, they'll come to me. And they just want you to know that they're okay, you know, but you don't want to hold them here, right? When they cross over, you want to just say, hey, you know what, go, you know, it's okay. And that way they don't, you know, it's not bad if they stick around, but, you know, a lot of times they want to go because you feel better when you're on the other side instead of just hanging out in the astral. When you're in the astral, you're still here in the physical world. All right, you're still in this existence, but you're in a different plane of existence. You're conscious, and like he said, you can't say. I mean, you can give messages if someone can hear you, if they're a channel, like me, right? Or maybe even him. I'm not sure. Are you a channel?
I don't know. I've never done this before.
Okay.
Also,
you probably are.
Well, also, there's another thing too that I was gonna say. If there's like a sickness, like an illness that somebody is worried about, oh well, like, you know, went to the doctors and I have a lump or something, like, let's say, you know, an illness that you're worried about, something, you know you're sick and you're super worried about this certain thing. Try not to worry about it too much because, you know, like, there's always a big chance of survival on that. You know, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm saying it because it's just coming to me. You know, if there's a certain sickness or something about you that's worrying you, do not worry about it. You know, like physical wise, you know, like health wise. You know, it could be chest pains or whatever the case may be. I don't know. Just try not to worry about it too much.
Yeah, because when we pass on, our physical bodies pass on, but our soul does not pass on. You might remember when you were little, you might remember feeling like you look yourself in the mirror and you go, that's not me. Who's that? Right? I used to feel like that all the time growing up. Mm-hmm. Because you're still remembering, you're more connected to your other life in the past. You're connected to your past life more than this life at that point. So when you come here, you know, you're still feeling like that other human being or whatever you might have been. Yeah. So when you die, you don't go away. Energy never dissolves. Yeah, negative energy will grow the sickness for sure. Yeah. Examine your face in the mirror. Yeah, I remember doing that too. I remember looking at myself and going, that's not me. Who is that? That's weird. So, anyways, there's another book. I read this book a long, long time ago. I haven't read it in probably 15 or so years, but this one is called Letters. This is very, very old. This is called Letters from the Afterlife, and it's a guide to the other side. Now, this was a channeling. This is actually a channeling. Back in, let me just find a year for you guys.
Look at all the hearts. What does that mean, all those hearts?
Oh, it just means people are tapping the screen saying they like it.
Oh, man, that's a lot of hearts.
I'm trying to remember, what year is this?
If you look at it back, it wasn't 1965. Was it?
Maybe. Is it 1965? I thought it was older than that. But okay. Yeah, here's the woman. 1912. Yeah, this I think was written in 1912. Hey, Stina. So, but this right here was channeled in 1912. Now, this woman right here is a channel. She does automatic writing. Have any of you ever done any automatic writing? I have done a lot of automatic writing, and I've gotten a lot of crazy messages that were very, very on when I do automatic writing. Just be careful if you do that, because you're opening yourself. Just make sure you're protected. Do a lesser banishing ritual or something like that before you do it. But she would do automatic writing, and she channeled a man that she knew very well. He wasn't. I don't think he was a good friend. Again, this was 15, 20 years ago that I read this, but he was a professor that she knew, and he passed on, and she didn't know he passed on, and all of a sudden she's channeling from him, and then she went and found out, oh my God, he's dead. This person I know is dead, and he's talking through me. So she ended up writing this whole book on him talking about the astral. He's on the other side, and he's actually telling her all about the other side. And he's saying, and this was my first introduction to the other side, and how there is no heaven or hell. He said, but people will, this is the astral, they will mentally project things, and they'll create things in the astral. And that's what we do here mentally, is we create things in the astral. He's like, people that believe in Jesus, they see like this figure up in the clouds. It's like they sit around, they see this, and they just kind of like think it's there, but then you go over here and you have people looking at this Buddha, in the astral, and he's like, it's a very mental, imaginary type of place, and couples even will still be on the astral together, and once you go past the astral, though, once you go into the other side where you go to the actual soul groups, the soul groups beyond the astral, remember astral is here. Once you ride the arc back and you go to the other side, you end up with your soul groups, and there's all these little clusters, and when people describe this, they say it's like little clusters of lights, and so you stick with certain clusters for a while at least, and you develop together. But sometimes, a lot of times what happens is, a couple of them here will develop a little bit more than these, and so they'll move on to this other group, and they change like colors as they develop. And so you tend to work with a lot of the same souls, at least for certain periods of time. So a lot of times when you feel like you know someone, like when you meet somebody and you're like, oh, I know this person, that's because you've worked with them before in this physical world. You've been here before with them. Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, I was just looking to see what people were saying, because I don't have my glasses on, so I have to like lean over and look.
Oh, what were they saying? I can't read it either.
You can't read it either.
I have that. I really can't.
They're not really. I don't really see much other than like weird and stuff. We're your kind of people. We're music people. I teach music business, and he is a musician, and yeah. I have my Bowie shirt on. I love David Bowie. Yeah. So anyways, who's my friend? Oh, you must have just jumped on. This is Noel. And he had a near-death experience. He died for 10 minutes. And I had him share that experience. So you should watch the replay. He talks about that. He told us the whole story. And it's a typical experience. And, you know, it depends. You know, it can depend on how you die, too. You know, it sounds like...
You know what's so weird is then after you die, you don't know, you don't realize... It's not like you know what your name is. It becomes different. It's so different. It's like you're somewhere, but you don't know what your name is. You don't know who you are. You just know you're in this certain place. That was the scary part about it.
It's like you're conscious, but you're not you.
Yeah, like you're not you. You're just there, and you see things, and you know you understand things, but you don't know who you are or anything like that. You just your consciousness leaves you completely. And it's really hard to explain. I can't explain it in English or in Spanish or in Japanese. It's really hard. You'd have to go through it yourself.
Have I done a live show on alien experience? I haven't actually done an alien one yet. I think I recorded a podcast on it, but I haven't even put my podcast out. It's called Weird Reality, and I totally have a few recordings sitting around and stuff, and I really need to get on that. But I'm so busy working at the university, Full Sail, for doing music business and stuff. I do that all the time. And then I try to do these broadcasts, you know, every Monday and Wednesday night. And I try to have somewhat of a social life. And, yeah. So I also do some workshops here in Orlando. But yeah, Serena, I will definitely do that. I'll do some alien stuff coming up, because my family has experienced alien contact as well as other people that I know, and I've studied that as well as a hypnotist, because you can hypnotize people and take them back to the experience, and you find out a lot of weird information. The dream... no, I don't remember it, Serena. Sorry, honey. I have so many people talk to me every day, spiritually and stuff, that I have a hard time remembering things. Unless you remind me, if you remind me of the story, I could probably remember it. Yes, Lisa. His experience is very typical, yes. And if you read these, if you pick up these books, like Life Between Lives, that'll really help you to understand how typical the experience is, and how this guy, what he did was, he said, okay, this person said this, and he just logged it for like 30 years. He logged like what everybody all day long was saying under hypnosis and everything as they, you know, went to the other side. And everybody was saying the same thing. And so it's a really good psychological study to find out that, hey, why are our brains saying the same thing? There's got to be something to it. You know, and since I've had so many crazy experiences with Astral and everything, I actually, I used to be an atheist, as many of you know. I became spiritual. I became very spiritual. But I'm not religious at all. Yeah. Oh, you're going to get the books, Lisa? Very cool. Yeah, and for those of you that are interested in psychic development or channeling, I do have a psychic development guide that I'll post on here, and it'll be in the links in the description. Yeah. Oh, you're studying hypnotherapy, Stina. Very cool. What do you want to do with that? I've been studying levitation, Thomas. You're funny. When you can levitate, I want to see that. Do a periscope on
I would love to see that.
I don't believe it. I think you have to go out of body for that.
Yeah.
Astral body versus etheric body. Oh, you're asking the difference between the astral body versus the etheric body. In my knowledge, to me, it's the same thing. To me, the etheric and the astral body are the same thing. I could be wrong, but from my understanding of all the things I've studied, it seems to be the same thing. It's hard for us to really pinpoint a lot of things. Oh, past life therapy and healing. That's what I do, Stina. Yeah. David Blaine?
Oh, yeah. David Blaine. He's a magician.
Stephen Richards. I'll look up Stephen Richards. Yeah.
The first magician I ever seen. Before, like, on national television. He got me started into, like, liking it, like magic and all that. Wondering how they do it. Curiosity.
Yeah, I mean,
David Blaine was the first one. Then it was, what's his name? Chris Angel was a good one.
Oh, yeah. But they're entertainers, though. They're not.
They're not actually.
Yeah, they're not magicians, you guys.
Here's a quarter.
It's wild.
Right here. See, now it's gone.
I don't know. My first time doing this. I'm sorry.
Prince Angel is a god.
Yeah. But recently turned into a goddess.
How's that?
Because he's not the same guy he used to be, man. He used to be awesome. Now he just became like really sold out, and just, he doesn't do the same things he used to do. Now you can tell what he's doing is all faked and pranked and stuff.
Well, I guess after a while it just burns out, right?
Yeah, people decided noticing.
He stayed underwater for 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
For real? That couldn't be real. They fake that stuff on TV. I don't believe it. Mm-mm. Mm.
How many of you guys have ever used a Ouija board? Watch everybody go, I did.
Yeah. Not you. Not me either.
It's bad. I did that a while ago, man. It was a bad experience.
Yeah, because Brandy said not to.
Too late for that one.
Yeah,
I learned my lesson.
Tell them about your Ouija board experience.
Oh, the Ouija board experience? I had, my friend got possessed. So it started spelling out my older brother's name, and then I said, why did he do it? And then it
Wait a minute. Some people just jumped on.
Oh,
they don't know what
okay.
you're talking about.
Oh, we're talking about a wedgie board. Ouija board, not a wedgie board.
No, his brother died. His brother died, and then he was playing with the Ouija board after that. Yeah. You learned your lesson too. Yeah. So
I did that, and then basically it started spelling out words like why. Yeah, so why did you do it and things like that, and it basically it would say that the Ouija board basically said like it would say no, and then it would say guilt, and like he didn't do it, and he was guilty, and that kind of. I didn't get it, but then my friend got, I took my hands off because I started freaking out, and then all of a sudden my friend landed on the floor, and he was possessed, and he was trying to talk to me about something, and I told him not to talk. I said, don't talk, just don't even talk to me, just, leave me alone. And he said, I have to tell you this, and I didn't listen to him. So I talked to him the next day. He told me what it was that was going on, and he told me he closed his eye, he says, because his eyes rolled in the back of his head, and he said he saw a guy with his head tilted like this, like his neck was broken, and then he had dark hair, and then combed to the back, and then light color skin, and he was moving his mouth, and while he was moving his mouth, he was getting messages through from him, but I didn't listen to him. But that's what he told me he saw the next day, and he ended up saying. But he described my brother the way exactly he looked. He even described that he had a tattoo, on his leg, which is pretty weird,
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I had quite a few experiences with Astral. I remember, I know some of you already know this story, but anyways. When I started playing around with magic, I had a high magician come to my house to do a banishing, but instead he did a channeling. And he opened up a portal because he was doing Enochian magic. And Enochian magic is very dangerous magic. I don't suggest anyone do it. It's extremely powerful, but I don't want to mess with that. Okay, so he came in, he did Enochian magic in my house, and when you do that, you open a portal. Create a vortex. And you open a portal. And when you open that portal, things can get super close to you from the astral. They can come into more of the physical dimension. And that's what happened. So, anyways, after he left and stuff, I felt the presence, and I could see something. I was laying in my bed, and I could see something outside of my bedroom, right outside of it in the doorway. In the hall, I could see like this long golden entity. And I was like, is that an angel? Me being all positive, I'm like, oh, it's an angel. And it kept hanging out there. And it went on for days. And I was seeing it from both sides of the house. I could see it. I couldn't see it straight on. As soon as I looked straight on, which is usual, you couldn't see it anymore. But as soon as I would just take my eyes a little bit out of focus or move them just a bit, I could see it perfectly. This long, yellowish, goldish, entity. And I didn't understand why it was so big. I mean, it went all the way up to the ceiling. And then I realized it was floating. It was above the floor. And so I'm on the phone with my mom one evening. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We were talking on the phone. And I'm sitting down in my dining room, but I can see my bedroom from there. Okay? And I can see the freaking entity, like, hanging out right there at my door in the same spot. It never moved. It was in the same spot. I'm just sitting, I'm like, oh, that thing's right there, and I didn't tell anybody. I never acknowledged it. That's one thing when I see something like that or I hear spirits and stuff, I don't usually acknowledge them. I don't usually, because I'm very skeptical. I'm like, who the hell are you? So I'm talking to my mom on the phone. I had never said it to her, never told her anything, and all of a sudden, she got super quiet. And if you know my mom, like, personally, she doesn't get super quiet often. So she talks a lot. She's Virgo.
I'm hungry all of a sudden.
Okay.
Sorry.
Am I boring you?
No, I'm just hungry. I don't know what you said, but
you didn't eat dinner yet. So anyways, she's a Virgo, so she talks a lot, and she got really quiet. And I was like, whoa. I was like, why is my mom quiet? And then all of a sudden the thing shot towards me down the hall, and then it shot over into my laundry room. So it kind of was like a cartoon. It was like this big yellow blur, like, psh, psh, and I'm just like, what happened? I freaked out. I'm sitting there and just like in shock. And all of a sudden my mom goes, there's something in your laundry room. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there is actually. What the fuck's going on? And she said, go look in your laundry room. And I'm like, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning here by myself. She said, go look in your laundry room, make sure it's gone. I'm like, well, I don't know how to deal with it, at the time. And I went over, I looked, I didn't see anything. And so my mom had astrally projected herself from Georgia, and I live in Florida, without me telling her, because she sensed this thing. She saw it. Astrally, she saw it. Yeah, you heard this one, Serena. I've told this one before. But she saw it in my hallway, just astrally, and she came in and she banished it. And she said it was a crazy woman, ghost. And that's what happens when you play with the wrong type of stuff, and you do Ouija board stuff, and you play with Enochian magic and everything, is you can definitely open portals. And my friend Sherry told me, she's over the OTO here in Florida, she told me, she said, yeah, that asshole opened a portal in your house. And she was really pissed off about it because, he shouldn't have done that. Because I didn't know Enochian magic at the time. I didn't know really much about it. I had read a book on it and some stuff on it. And I did a little bit of chanting and felt the energy and everything. But I had never done the actual rituals. And he did the ritual in my house and really just opened up a bad portal. Mark says spiritual warfare is my specialty. Very cool. You won't touch the board. Yeah. Don't do channeling unless you feel very protected and very secure. And you do some good banishing first and clearing of your space. And I don't suggest opening yourself completely like with a Ouija board. If you want to do automatic writing, that's a little safer. And so is using, really the safest way to go is to use something like an oracle thing like runes or tarot cards, astrology charts. Those are much safer to channel with rather than to just open yourself. I mean, I've opened myself quite a bit, and I didn't ever get any attachments myself, but I always did my lesser banishing, and I did Rose Cross if I ever felt anything in my house. I did banishing ritual of the hexagram. I'm very much into the protection magic, so you got to be careful with it. The board is a base medium for infection. That's interesting, Mark. I'd like to hear more about that. Yeah, you need to protect yourself for sure, Lisa. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, Mark, I would love to hear more about that. You'll have to message me or let me know if you do any speaking or anything about stuff. You have no barrier when you open up the door by touching the board. Interesting. See, I don't know about that. I just know that they're very dangerous, and I've always stayed away from them. I've always heard they're very dangerous in the magical world, so I didn't know why, though. So what is it about the board, Mark, that does that makes it such a negative thing? You've channeled earthbound spirits as well as celestial. The energy is different. Yeah, definitely. Very different. Me too, Stina. Totally agree with you. Yeah. Okay, so if you want to channel, you want to raise your vibration first. When you raise your frequency, you tap into higher frequency celestial beings instead of lower frequency. If you are in a negative state and you open yourself to a Ouija board, you are opening yourself to negative energies, which are more demonic energies. And so that's why people that are just like kind of regular and they're not doing a lot of meditation and stuff.
I've seen them before too. Those are actually real. People could say, "Oh no, that's real," but demons are real.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, they don't come just by hereditary things. They come in. Something is telling me that somebody who's watching has problems sleeping at night because of something. I guess it's nightmares or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If it is you, go ahead and say it now. If not, then whatever. But demons are they're real, and they come hereditary too. Like, you can start off by saying, well, my mom started off seeing this and this, things like, things really didn't really add up. Like, she would see shadows or things like that, and then,
Shadow people.
and then it goes over to you. Like, let's say, I told my mom once that I was seeing I wasn't able to sleep at night for the longest time myself because it was a black dog. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen a black dog, and I'm pretty sure more than one of you guys have seen a black dog in your dreams. It's not a good sign if you see a black dog in your dreams, but it started off as a hereditary thing. My mom had seen this black dog, and it was evil. It wasn't human. You see what I'm saying? And every time she would see the black dog, the dog would try to attack her or something like that. And those were all demons, that are there. I mean, they come in different shapes and sizes, and they look different. You gotta understand, they come from a different dimension than we do.
Just like the Enochians.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they're demons. Yeah.
That's basically.
Well, Mark says, without permission, they cannot affect you. Touch is permission, and the board has an established history in the spiritual realm, and there is a record of all interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, that's really interesting, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing that. Huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, touch is permission. That makes sense. Yeah, and once something, a certain symbol has a certain frequency to it, just like I do the Lesser Banishing Ritual, and when I do the Lesser Banishing Ritual, it taps into that frequency that other people also do. And so it has that certain frequency, which raises your frequency up. Everything's frequencies. Okay, we're going to head out, guys. Thank you so much for joining. And I hope this gave you some good insight. I will post the links here in the description on my Facebook and on YouTube. And for those of you on Periscope, I'm brandyjoy.com if you want to look at my website. And my Facebook is brandyjoytv, and my YouTube is brandyjoytv. So thank you so much for joining.
And just check out my band too. We're gonna put the link on there when it comes to the band. So if you guys want to check out my band and subscribe, go ahead and do that.
Oh, thank you. And cool, Mark. What do you mean add you? Add you where? Send me a message, Mark. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Serena. Thank you, Mark. You can't wait to start reading, Lisa? Awesome. Are you in my masterclass, my tarot masterclass, Lisa? You do warfare training privately, Mark. That's very cool. Yeah, I want to see your stuff. Like you have a website and you have a Facebook. Cool. Yeah, message me, please. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, thank you, Pam. Thanks, Thomas Hanson. Thanks for joining. Y'all have a wonderful night. Namaste. Love and light to you. See y'all next time.
Bye.